is going on, 49er fans, wherever you are in the world, especially if you're in Rochester, New York? The 585 Niner Gang podcast is especially for you. Me and James were talking off stream how we're probably going to create a Facebook page to try to drive in some traffic here for anybody who's from Rochester, New York, who's a 49er fan. Like I said, James is originally from San Francisco. We talked about this last week. But now he lives out here in Rochester, New York, and we used to work together. And he's a 49er fan just like me. We talked about this podcast for a while last year, but it's finally came to fruition. So we're going to talk a little Brandon Aiyuk. We'll talk some Niner news, and we'll kind of preview tonight's preseason game. Not a lot, no starters playing, but there's going to be some depth guys that I'd like to see play and play well because you got to have depth and you got to have guys that can perform when the stars are out. So what a better way to figure out who those guys are than to have them play tonight. So tonight is going to be interesting. It's kind of a relaxing, you can just kind of relax and watch it, James. You don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
Wins and
Oh
losses
yeah.
don't matter. Just hope for
As
no
long as
injuries.
nobody gets, yep. As long as nobody gets injured.
So I figure we tackle the giant elephant in the room, and that's Brandon Aiyuk situation. We all saw the report last night from anybody who's worth a damn saying that the Niners have restarted talks with Brandon Aiyuk, but there's also talk that they kind of have parameters set for a trade if they were to trade him, what exactly they're looking for. So it's not quite a done deal yet. He could still be traded, but to hear that there was some sort of closure, I guess, not closure, some sort of hope that he can be back on the 49ers, because I think the best case scenario for everybody is if he's back. Trading him is
Yeah.
cool if if you get a guy in turn who's as productive, but if you're going to just trade him for draft picks, it doesn't really help the Niners this year. What's your thoughts on the whole Brandon Aiyuk situation? Because when we talked last, it was the same thing. So have your feelings
Yeah.
changed? Are you antsy? Are you angry? Like, what's your feeling?
Well, there's so many rumors with it now. I see rumors with uh he's going to get traded to Patriots, going to get traded to Pittsburgh. Now it's Cleveland. And I just want to know like what is going to happen to this guy because first of all, he's missing precious time practicing with his team. So
Yep.
he's going to be rusty, even if he does get re-signed with us or whatever happens if he stays with us. I saw the Cleveland trade that they proposed, and supposedly, I don't know if this is real or not, but most people said it was a real thing. We were going to get Amari Cooper, a second round pick, and a fifth round pick, and I was so happy to see that because I would take that in a heartbeat. Amari Cooper is a very underrated wide receiver. The guy is very, I think he's had few consecutive 1,000-yard seasons with crappy quarterbacks too. I mean, he had Deshaun Watson last year, and he was good with the Raiders, good with the Cowboys. I mean, Amari Cooper would be great. He can catch anything. That guy caught a few balls against us last year that were pretty damn good. So I was looking forward to that, and then I saw Ayuk said no to that. And I didn't know that was a thing that players, I know players can say no to trades sometimes, but not when it's like this with, round, it's a team trade. But yeah, I guess he rejected that. I was looking forward to that. I would have took that. Um, Second round pick's a big pick, fifth round. And Amari Cooper, yeah, he's 30, but he's still got gas in the tank. So I kind of hope at this point we trade him because it's just taken forever. We need somebody that's
Wow.
been in training camp. That's how I feel. I'm kind of getting mad about it because it's like the guy's just sitting there twiddling his thumbs. He could be practicing with us still. Um, you know, that's what I think. It's reminding me of Crabtree all over again. And I
How
don't like
much?
it.
How much is that as an agent? How much is that? Uh, him trying to get paid. I mean, that's just a lot of these holdouts, especially with the 49ers. The 49ers, from what people say, super tough negotiators. They come in the
Yeah,
low. They usually lowball everybody. Um, Bosa was asked about that. And he said the Niners extremely a tough negotiation table. He
Yeah.
was last year that Bosa could be traded. It went out. I don't think any Niner fan ever thought that would ever happen. But I remember hearing about it and me and friends doing YouTube streams talking about, like, is there a chance Bosa could ever be traded because of his contract? And if he was, like, what kind of fantasy trade would you want back? It's a little different with Ayuk, I think, because of Ayuk's place in this offense. He's definitely, one of the top players, but we're just so deep in on offense with playmakers that it's not like Bosa. Like I said in previous streams, Bosa's one of one. He's our most prolific pass rusher on our team. Every team that has an edge rusher usually never lets him leave unless they're just a disaster franchise.
Hmm.
Edge are hard to come by. I'm not saying the receivers are easy to come by because they're not. It's different to be good in college than in the NFL. Uh, I'm teetering. Like, the only way I would really be okay with the move, where essentially the Niners got some picks back and maybe a player, would be if it was Devontae Adams. Other than that, I mean, Amari Cooper's great and everything, but I mean, to me, Devontae is the only player that I would be okay with giving up on a young player, uh,
Yeah.
especially if you get some draft compensation back where you could essentially draft his replacement. But the best course of action, I think, for me is for them to re-sign him. Um, when you draft good talent and you hit in the draft, it's important to re-sign that talent. I think the draft is uncertain and it's a crapshoot. And to say, well, oh, we'll just draft his replacement. We did that with DeForest Buckner with Kinlaw. That didn't happen. So
Yep.
I think in the end, the best course of action would be to keep him. Now, do the Niners feel the same way? I don't think so. I know stuff through other people who are closer to the Niners that, I mean, the Niners essentially kind of gave up on this thing and just were looking to kind of move on from him.
Yeah.
But to say that it's a guarantee that he would leave, it's not. So I think for the betterment of
Well,
the team going forward, I think keeping him is the best course of action.
yeah, I think the Niners, if that's really what the Niners are feeling, I mean, it's just because you got a guy who can be at training camp right now. He could be there. I mean, I know he wants to get paid and everything, but the holdout, like the Trent Williams thing, is really hurting us. Um, we have to have Trent Williams. I mean, that's crazy. I think at this point, I would pay Trent some more money, keep him for this year, even though it's probably going to be his last year. And I don't. It's just going to cost too much money. We don't have the money. I mean, we do, but it's going to be everything. If it's Ayuk or everything. So I kind of see why they would want to move on. It's a lot of money, and you're going to have to make a lot more sacrifices if you pay that guy,
And we're not even
including
talking about next year because Birdie's coming up on a big deal too.
yeah, including Purdy. What do you want, Ayuk or Purdy? So that's a big
Most teams,
decision
most
right there.
everybody would take a quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you get a
So
quarterback, quarterbacks and edge rushers to me are the two most important positions. Well, no, there's three of them. Tackle, whatever tackle. If you're a quarterback, I would say so. Left tackle, edge rusher, quarterback. Those are a three must
yeah,
on any franchise. If you don't have any of those three, you can have some problems. The
yeah,
most important, I think, to me, being, I hate to say this, but I think left tackle is the most important, and then quarterback. Because if you don't have a guy anchoring that side of the line, and you have a quarterback back there throwing the ball at any point in the game, he could get injured or whatever because you have a really faulty left tackle out there. Then I think left
yeah,
tackle, quarterback, and then of course edge rusher. Edge rush, like, it's so difficult to find edge rushers, and so I think the Bosa situation was a little different last year. My whole thing with this is that I think it's the price of being good. It's the price of being a talented team, is that eventually you're going to have to pay everybody.
mhm,
I was talking to Raj the last time we streamed, and we were talking. It might have been Raj or I forgot who else I streamed with last week, but when you suck as a franchise, you look for the draft every year. Like when you watch the draft and your team's good, the draft kind of sucks because you draft at the end of every round, right? But that means you're doing well, and that means you have a good team, and that you don't need to hit early in the draft. So it kind of,
Yep.
to me, it's yeah. I asked 49er fans this: would you rather be a team that's never in contention, but picks in the top 10 of every draft, and you get totally excited for it, or would you rather have a team whose issues are re-signing really good players because there's so many on your team, and your team is a perennial playoff participant? I rather have the latter because it's a great problem to have. You think about that, dude. If you think about it, like it's a great problem to have that we have all these players that we essentially can't afford. Would you
Yeah.
want it the other people? I ask people, would you want it the other way? Like it's cool to play
No, definitely
fantasy
not.
football with contracts and stuff like, oh, we just signed this guy, we'll draft this guy. It doesn't work like that, you know?
So, yeah, we have a bunch of big names.
So
It's
I think it's
gonna
a great
happen.
problem to have, to be honest with you. Hey, if you're on Twitter and you want to pop in on the YouTube stream, come over to YouTube. The link is in my YouTube bio. You can comment. You could participate in the chat. I noticed there's a lot of people on Twitter, not as much on YouTube. And so if you're on there, if you're on Instagram as well, if you see this on Instagram, don't be shy. Come over to the channel. Views will be quite appreciated. And like, share, comment, subscribe. Give me and James some support so we can keep doing this thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we'll move on a little bit. We'll talk about I didn't put the rest of this down. So Trent Williams right now is held out of so far 13 practices. He has incurred in fines. This is insane because most of us don't make this in a year or maybe in
Yeah.
10 years. $650,000, not including the preseason game checks or game checks. How important is to have Trent Williams, man? Like, when is that going to get resolved? You can't have a
Well, that
season with Brock Purdy without
yeah,
Trent Williams, right?
yeah. That's crazy. That $650,000 is nothing to this guy. He's
Chump
like
change.
incurring these fees. He's like, whatever. I could buy a chain more than that.
Right.
It's gonna suck if we don't have him. I mean, I don't even know what his backup is. It would probably be
Jalen
um,
Jalen Moore.
Jalen Moore. Yeah, Jalen Moore, and he's horrible.
He's,
Every time he's played, he's not good. We
yeah, he's
have to
pretty
have
bad.
Trent, and it's kind of sad that we rely so much on Trent. Like when he's injured, I know we're gonna have a bad few games. We're really reliant on that guy. He is. That is why he's rated 99 in Madden. That's why
Mhm.
he's one of the top 10 players, or what was it, top 20 players in the
Oh, he was
league.
in the top 10. I think he was
Yeah,
number
top
7.
10, top 10. I mean, that guy is everything. He blocks for
He's the best left
anybody.
tackle in football, and it's
Yeah,
not even
yeah.
close.
I
And
mean,
he's
he
old
blocked.
too. He's 36.
Yeah, the only person I ever saw him struggle with was I think it was Miles Garrett or somebody like that, one of the best edge rushers. That was one of the only players I've ever seen him struggle blocking, but he still didn't allow one sack last year. I mean, not one. And
He's amazing.
he's a monster. We need him. So pay that guy right now. Pay him.
The issue the 49ers are having is this. They can pay him, but he could retire, and then his contract would be on the books. So the Niners are essentially in a situation that they have to pay him. They'll have to pay him even if he's not here, and I don't think the Niners want to do that.
Yeah,
Um, and he says, "Well, I'm going to play the line 40. I want to play the line 40." What if they win the Super Bowl this year? Why would you keep playing? Would you keep
yeah.
playing if you won? You know what I'm saying? Like,
No,
so the Niners, everybody thinks the Niners are this cheap organization like they used to be, or they were perceived back in the day when Jay York first turned over. They're not cheap. They got a lot of good players on this team, and everybody has to get paid, and eventually the money runs out. People are like, "Well, there's a salary cap." People, this isn't
yeah,
baseball, okay?
yeah,
This isn't baseball. There
yeah,
is a salary cap, and you have to be under the salary cap. The Niners think about it. They had 9 players on the top 100 list. There's
yeah.
still some other players on this team that are pretty good that are not on that top 100 list. So
And they're getting paid too.
And they're getting paid too. And and then if some players that we've signed this season have a really good year, they're going to want to get paid. So
Mhm.
it's tough. It's a great problem to have, because you could suck and your team could be in the top 10 in the draft every year. Like for us, at least for you and me, I know when the Niners are doing really bad in the mid like 2010s, when Harbaugh left and then we had Tom Sula and then we had Chip Kelly. Those are some pretty
Yeah,
bad years. Like
it was really bad.
the draft was our Super Bowl every year.
Yeah,
Like I miss the draft being like that, but at the same time, I'm like, but my team's really good. So if they're picking at the back end of every round, that's okay. That's why anytime, like you said, if you can get a trade back, uh, when you have good players and it's for a top 10, say the team you trade with, finishes in the top 10, that's a good way to get an impact player to keep this thing rolling. A lot of people keep talking
yeah,
about this window and all this other stuff. And, you know, there's some truth to it being that this era of 49er football, it's been a productive one other than we haven't won a Super Bowl. And we're going to look back, unfortunately, probably with this era, unless we win it this year and say that as good as we were, it was somewhat of a disappointment. I'll
yeah.
kind of
What a
move into
waste,
that.
you know?
I'll kind of move into that topic right now is uh, when you see all the injuries and the camp holdouts and stuff, does it kind of concern you that this ride that we've been on since 2019 may be coming off the track somewhat, and we might be looking at a 30 for 30 thing on ESPN, and they're going to talk about how this team was destined to win Super Bowls but never could do it, and then eventually everybody left. Like, do you get because I feel that way sometimes. Like, man, this is you see some of the players when they talk to the media, you could tell that the Super Bowl is still bothering them. They just don't have that same pizzazz. Fred Warner, Christian McCaffrey. I don't get the same excitement. It's tough. You lost twice in the last 4 years. So, do you have any of
Yeah.
that comes across your mind like this era of 49er football? It's kind of like the Bills in the early 90s. Eventually
Oh yeah,
players retire and then you're just a footnote. What do you think about it?
yeah, yeah. I do kind of feel that because it's been since Harbaugh. I mean, we've lost three straight after winning five straight.
Right.
Um, so we're not the team we were back in the '80s and '90s where we always won the Super Bowl. But I think this has got to be our last year to prove it. It really sucks we lost Drake Jackson because I feel like he was a great backup. Um, Drake was every game I saw him in his rookie season, he looked like he was attacking the quarterback. He was in the play. That's really going to stink to lose him for the season. But we gotta. I hope it's not one of those injury years because we had that the year before last,
Yeah,
and
that was 2020. So the year after we
uh,
won
yeah,
or went to the
or
Super
that was a
Bowl.
few years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a tough
Mhm.
one.
And
Drake
if we have
Jackson.
another one of those seasons, it's going to be a long season.
It
Um,
is going to be a long season. I don't want that.
which
The
Wisnowski,
only Go ahead.
Wisnowski, one of the best punters in the league,
Yeah, he's hurt
um,
right now.
he's hurt, and we got his replacement's not that great either. What is it, Percy? Or I can't think of his name right now.
Yeah, I don't know who he is. I
Yeah.
saw his name pop up on my Instagram feed from the 50 49er content creators that I follow, and he's yeah, I'm
But
not
yeah,
too
I definitely get that feeling, Aaron, because it's getting that point. It's like we've lost two with the same well, two with this coach, and then one with Harbaugh. Um, I think Kyle Shanahan's got to look at it like this too. He doesn't win one this year. See you later. I know we signed him to a contract and all that, but
wow,
this
that's a bold
organization,
statement.
I think it is because you got to think about it. Or we are a very high caliber team, and we've always been that way. If we
Yeah,
don't
we live
win the Super Bowl,
prestigious
yeah,
organization. One of the big. It's like
yeah,
the Yankees of baseball.
yeah, and aim high or see you later, and that's been our get-go, for a while. So I'm not saying they should get rid of Shanahan. He's a great coach. But yeah, if we don't win it this year, a lot's going to change next year. That's for sure. Purdy will still be with us, but um, the guys are getting older and they're losing that thunder, that lust, that they're losing hope because we've lost two in a row, or two. We've lost two Super Bowls. So um, it's just they got to win one this year. I mean, they got to, and it really ends up if Mahomes is good again. I really hope the Chiefs suck this year. That's really what I'm hoping for
A lot of
because
Niner fans are saying they want to see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I don't.
I
I
don't.
know it's all about, oh, well, I want to beat the best to be the best. Yeah, that's great, but I also want a Super Bowl championship before I'm
Yeah,
80. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I seen five, but by the time I was 15, and now I'm 44, almost 45. So it's been about 30. This is the 30th season, really, because the 94-95 season was the last time we won, and it's now this is the 2024-2025 season. So this is the
yeah.
actual 30-year anniversary of that squad. The
Hmm.
Niners has gone 30 years without winning a Super Bowl. That's insane. Dallas is right behind them. Uh, it'll hit next year for Dallas, and people like to call
Yeah,
Dallas and the Niners VCR champs. And can you really blame them? And it's not an incorrect statement. A lot of Niner fans get really mad and they don't want to be mixed up in the same conversation as like the Cowboys. But
yeah,
dude, like it sucks that we're actually in the conversation of team. We're like the reverse Bills, I call it. Remember the
yeah.
Bills? They lost 4 straight Super Bowls.
At
They're
least we
known
didn't
to
lose four straight. That would really suck. I mean,
we won't even if we lose one again, it would be 4 in a row, but still, that's a horrible
yeah,
number to kind of, you've won the 9 Super Bowls, you've won only 5 of them. I mean, it's still pretty good, I guess, but this franchise was built on, excellence and winning Super Bowls, and it's just a different era. We're living in an era with incredible quarterbacks and a game that's wide open that is official very differently than back then. But I mean, as long as they put a competitive team on the field, and as long as they put a team out there that can, compete for a championship, you're always in. You're always in it. You know what I mean? Until you're not in it. Like you
yeah.
said, if you have a quarterback, you have a decent defense. There's always that. Um, we got somebody actually on Twitter or X. He said, "Oh, it's okay, fellas. I'm a
I
Cowboys
know.
fan, born in '97, and we don't even make the bowl." It's tough, ain't it?
It
I'm
sucks.
not I'm not here I'm taking shots at Dallas either. I'm just saying it's like people refer to you as the VCR champs, and I was talking to this guy. I know James knows him. His name is Jeff. I won't say his last name, but his name is Jeff. He's a Cowboys fan. He works at my
Oh yeah.
job, and we go after each other, and we talk about it because when we were all in high school together, that was when the Niners Cowboys rivalry was at its peak, and anytime we get a chance to trash each other, it's always fun. Yeah, I always tell him the Cowboys suck, and he's like, "Well, your team, is a choke team. They can't win the Super Bowl." And we talked about it. We're like, "Would you rather cheer for the Cowboys and have them never make the bowl and lose maybe in the regular season or in the divisional round, or would you want a team that goes to the Super Bowl and has a chance to win it but just keeps losing?" And he said that he'd rather it lose in the wild card or divisional round because the Super Bowl's the ultimate. You know what I mean? If you go to Super Bowl and you don't win, it's like your name's in history as the team that lost. There's only one team
Yeah.
that won. So, uh, it sucks. I feel like it's something that all 49er fans have to be able to take with a little bit of lip from other people because unfortunately until we win another one, we're going to be labeled that VCR champ, just like Dallas. And there's nothing we can really do about it. You can't argue it. What are you going to tell them? The refs cheated us out of it. The Chiefs cheated their way to a championship. That's loser talk. That's loser mentality, like blaming the refs. It is what it is. So that is on that. There's some players that are playing tonight. We'll jump over to the game itself. None of them are going to be starters, though. I have a list of players here. We could talk. Quarterback Josh Dobbs is one that will play tonight, along with Brandon Allen, to fight to see who's not going to be number two. Any thoughts on that?
Well, Dobbs has shown a little bit of promise here and there. He's got some experience. I think he'll be our second string. I don't expect him to, throw 300 yards or any crazy thing, but he's a good quarterback. He's a good backup. He definitely improved last year when Kyler Murray was out and all that stuff happened. Everybody was like, "Oh, he's going to take Kyler Murray's job," but then Kyler Murray came back and he killed it. So, um, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I think there's some good backups we got. So,
There's also a lot of people will watch training camp this year think Brandon Allen is actually better right now because he knows the system. They said Josh Dobbs took some time and now is, he might start the season number three. Let's not forget, was it Tanner Mordecai, the backup? The other, I think he
yeah,
was an undrafted free agent that the 49ers, a lot of people want to see him too.
yeah,
I'd be interested to see Tanner Mordecai, another long shot quarterback. This guy wasn't drafted, so
maybe he's another Brock Purdy. You never
maybe
know.
he's another Brock Purdy. Maybe we can trade him. Maybe we find out. I hope we never have to find out about that. But I think with the cool thing, hold on, let me answer this question. He said, "Did I?" No, he did not travel. There's about 5 guys that didn't travel, and Aiyuk is one of them. But thanks for the question. I appreciate it. Um, No, it's one of those things where you could watch this game and kinda relax a little bit because it's not regular season. The
Yeah,
regular season, every game is live or die, right? Every game
yeah.
matters in the
I
standings.
didn't I didn't realize Titans got a lot of acquisitions this offseason. I mean, they got Ridley, they got
Mhm,
Tony Pollard. They did lose Hopkins for at least several weeks to a
mhm.
knee injury. They got Boyd from Cincinnati. So I mean, their quarterback's up in the air. If it's going to be their draft pick from last year, I can't think of his name right now, but they're
Will
not
Levis?
yeah, yeah, Levi's, and we'll see. They actually got some good guys on their offense this year. So we'll see what happens with them.
Right.
I don't know if they're going to
Yeah.
have their starters play in this game, but um, Calvin
It's
Ridley's
weird though when you're not a good team, you treat the preseason like a Super Bowl. So if the Titans come out and blow us out in the preseason, relax, you know?
yeah, it's all good. It's all
They're
good.
playing. They're blowing a huge wad, and they're like, I don't care about the preseason. I'm all about getting out of the preseason healthy.
Yep.
Another player is Dominic Pooney. The offensive line is much maligned. With Trent being out and the injury to McKivitz, but one of the big mainstays at camp this year. A lot of people are really high on him. He has room for growth. Let's not like Raj. I streamed with them early this week lacks. It's like Dominic Pooney has looked really good in camp, but now he's going into a game against a team other than the 49ers in the Titans. Jalen Moore, running back Cody Schrader, undrafted free agent. A lot of people say he looked really good in camp. Listen, with the way things go with running backs on this franchise, we seem to have injured running backs, just tons of them every year,
Yeah.
right?
Very good running
The
backs.
more the merrier. If Cody
Yeah.
Schrader balls out this preseason, keep him on this team. If he doesn't make the starting lineup, put him in a practice squad uniform and call it a day. Ronnie Bell's going to get a chance to shine. He kind of was our darling in training camp last year and had really did nothing last year. Tight end Braden Willis with us cutting Logan Thomas, who never really did anything in camp. Malik Collins, Yeter Gross Matos, D. Winters, Renardo Green, Daryl Ludo Jr., and Malik Mustafa. Those are a lot of backups that are going to get significant time tonight. Anybody from that list that excites you?
I definitely want to see Malik Mustafa. That guy looks like a beast.
He
I
does.
want to
He's
see
humongous.
I want to see Pooney. Pooney's if he steps it up, we could have a really better offensive line, which would be
Yeah,
nice. Him and Aaron Banks would be a nice 1-2 tandem.
nice guard.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, and then Braden Willis. We'll see what happens with that because I think he's about 6'2". He's not very tall, but he's very fast for a tight end. So we'll
Let
see
me
if he
see.
can run routes
Let
good.
me look up. Let me look him up.
I think he's 6'2". I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but it'd be nice to have a good tight end.
Says he's 6'4".
What? Oh,
Yeah.
maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. Well, I know he's fast though because I've seen some of his film. He looks pretty fast for a tight end. So that'd be nice to if hopefully he's good. Um, and then of course Malik Collins. That'll be great to see
Yeah.
him because he played great last year. Um, I hope he balls out too because we lost Armstead, so that's a huge hole right there. Losing Armstead. So if he steps up, perfect.
Yep.
You
And
know.
then we also hope that the player that we got from the Philadelphia Eagles last year, Javon Hargrave, we're hoping
Yeah.
he has a kind of a comeback season because last year he played pretty poorly. Was dealing with some injuries. Um, Something to keep an eye on is okay. So I mentioned all those players, but one thing you mentioned earlier is Drake Jackson. He's been pretty disappointing. He like last year he started really fast. He had 3 sacks, never got any more. He has been unable to stay healthy, and he's been in the lineup. I remember his rookie year, he got benched in the second half of the season because he wasn't in shape. Um, Niners have a definite lack of depth at the edge rusher position. You have Floyd, you have Bosa, and you have Yetur Gross-Matos, and then you have pretty much nobody. One of the guys that a lot of people hope step up is oh my god, the draft pick. Forget his name right now. Let's see if he's on the list of players that people were talking about. No, he's not. It's not D Winters. D Winters is a man who could probably
Yeah.
make it for
Three,
linebacker
four.
3.
Yeah. Yeah. Three,
Yeah, let
three,
me look
four.
at who am I thinking of right now? Who am I thinking of right now? It's not D Winters.
Um,
Hmm.
there is another guy, but we had Austin Bryant too, but he's hurt. Um,
Yep.
he was all right.
Robert Beal Jr.
Oh, Beal.
Late
Yeah.
round pick
Beal.
last year, kind of a quick guy. Didn't really do much. Was on the practice squad pretty much all last year. Quiet camp for a lot of people. They say he isn't really shined or shown too much. So I mean, the Niners really have a hole at the edge rusher position, and I would love to see someone step up. I wouldn't be surprised if they made a move in the regular season at some point. Um,
Mm.
how the Niners every year, if they're having a good year, they do a midseason trade. They definitely need to. They would need to, unless somebody just totally balls out in the preseason. They have a lack of depth at the edge position. Um, and I would love to see them get a one other person. But
They
as of
they could
now,
sign a free agent too. You never
right?
know. They could sign an old free agent, but he steps up too.
I'm trying to think. I'm looking at Renardo Green to hopefully have a great game. Cornerback, who's a rookie. He's a rookie this year from Florida State. A sticky in coverage. He's a really good, sticky man-to-man guy. Kind of long, angular, kind of like Richard Sherman. They say he's got like a Richard Sherman type body. Has the
Hmm.
grabbies. Has an issue with the grabbies sometimes at the top of routes. The Niners are gonna come up to a I don't know if it's this year or next year where they're gonna have to pay Diamador Lenore. Travarius Ward is on the books too, and a guy like Renardo Green could really make his case to if he plays well enough this year. Because I think right now this year he's he's the fourth corner because they have Yadom, the guy we drafted or we got in free agent. Last name is Yidam. He's a cornerback free agent. I forget where we got him from, but essentially what it is it's Chivarius Ward, Diamador Lenore, Yidom, and I think Renardo Green as your fourth corner. So, I mean, hopefully he plays well in the preseason and gives the Niners some hope that they can, because you can't pay everybody, right?
Yeah,
Diamador Lenore has had a crazy camp. Like everybody's talking about, he has a chance to be like an all-pro this year. Like he's had that good of a camp. And that's awesome. It's exciting. He's not a
it
big
is.
guy. He's one of those smaller corners. So that'll be interesting to watch. Like you said, Mustafa was interesting. I want to see what Heater Gross-Matos can do as an edge rusher.
Hmm.
I just hope nobody gets hurt in this preseason game. Like I said, they're really thin at depth at the end position, so I'm a little nervous about that. I'm a lot nervous about that. So
Have you heard anything about Elijah Mitchell? I haven't heard anything about him.
he was hurt. He has a hamstring issue in camp.
He's still
Go
he's
figure.
still hurt.
He's still
Yeah,
hurt. Yeah, he's
I know.
he's
He's
uh
always hurt.
he's always hurt. He's always
But
hurt.
when he plays though,
He is
that guy
really good.
is he's very good. I
Yeah.
wish he could just stay healthy. He's fast. He just explodes out of the hole like no other.
Yeah,
You
we
know.
uh we drafted a running back this year and Isaac Garendo, and he's injured. He got hurt
And then
during camp.
Jordan, we still have Jordan Mason too, right?
Jordan Mason, he's had a really strong camp.
Yeah.
So it looks like, at least from what I'm thinking, your running backs are probably going to be Elijah. Excuse me. It's going to be Christian McCaffrey, I would assume. He's either J.P. Mason and Elijah Mitchell, whatever way you're going to flip them.
Mhm.
And then I think Cody Schrader makes his team. Where does Isaac Garendo end up? Is he going to be one of Shanahan's? How Shanahan doesn't like to start certain players or certain like running backs. For some reason, he has really bad track record running backs that aren't Christian McCaffrey. So, what happens to Isaac Garendo this year will be interesting to watch, to say the least.
Yeah.
They could have a really good deep running back room, but with the way things look right now, there's a lot of injuries. Oh, we got a guy, small town reviews in
Let's
here. Thanks,
go.
man. Thanks for coming through. Rick Diaz. Good afternoon, faithful family, 49er fans. I'm coming from Chicago as a 49er fan. I just wanted to say hi to all my faithful friends across the country and across the world. Go Niners. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, me and James here, we're both 49er fans from Rochester, New York, hence the 585. I'm going to try to get a Facebook group. The only thing about Facebook groups is now I have to monitor people and kick them. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
I
Yeah.
hate
You have to
stressful.
do the survey.
I
Do the
have
survey.
somebody I have somebody who I could put in charge of that. I could ask him if he wants to be part of our, you know, if people get a little lippy or weird, you can kick them out of the
Facebook
Facebook group.
security.
He'll be our
Facebook
Facebook security
security.
guy. Because there's people that are gonna join that are just gonna troll because they're like, miserable people. Like, then maybe there's a Chiefs fan or a Rams fan or something that wants to come join.
Yeah.
We don't have that much more to talk about. I'm looking forward to the preseason game though. I
Yeah.
do you Are you watching it tonight? I got the preseason NFL thing. It's like $6.99 a month, and I can
I'll
watch
just
all the
say
out of market games.
I'm I'm watching it. It's on a website. I'm not going to say the website
You're gonna
because I'm
say
not going to
okay?
blow it up. But I'm going to
No,
watch it on a website. Yeah.
no, we don't want to get him in trouble with that. No,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got the NFL. I paid for it the last couple of years, but I uh, deactivated it. But I went back this year, and it says like it's like $6.99.
So so here's the thing. I did want to ask you this because ever since I've moved here, I got Fubo last year at the beginning of the season. First game I went to put on, that was a Niners game. They didn't have it. They said it was an out of market game. So I'm just trying to find what streaming streaming app I should get that literally for sure I can watch every Niners game because I had Fubo and they crapped out and I got really mad. There was this whole thing because I bought the like most expensive one and I still couldn't watch all the games. And then I was looking at YouTube NFL Ticket, but it says in an asterisk it says out of market games are subject to be on or off. So I'm like,
They're
should I even
mostly
buy it?
on. They're on Niner games are mostly on every week, every year. I've not had a blackout 49er game yet, so
Okay. So you do the YouTube, or do you do it on your cable, or do you do
I
it on YouTube?
I have my internet's getting a little glitchy here. So I use Time or Spectrum, of course, but then I order it through YouTube TV.
Okay, yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do this year. Because
Yeah, me and
the
my
thing
brother
is,
bought it.
I'm
I think you
working.
can pay it in installments now too. You could pay it over 4 months or 5 months or something. So you don't have to
Yeah.
pay the freight right in the beginning. You know, the 200 plus you got some money off this year if you ordered it before a certain time. You got like
Mm,
$150 off. So it was like 200 something. It's still a lot of money, but the fact that I get 49er games in Rochester, I'm so used to it. I've had Sunday tickets since I think 2014 when I moved into a apartment and they were like, "Hey, can I do you?" They allowed you to get satellite if you were able to, if you had an ability to get the signal from space. And I just
yeah,
happened to move into a place that was able to do it. There was already an
perfect.
existing dish there, so they just put the wiring up to the house and dude, it was so
Wow.
awesome. We sucked, right? We were so bad, but it was cool. Like I'd chill in my little apartment and watch my 49er games. It was great. It was good stuff. It's always fun. Now with my
That's pretty
brother,
cool.
he's a Dolphins fan, so he has it on in his room. You just hear a lot of yelling and screaming and come on all season.
Oh yeah.
He's
Oh
actually
yeah.
more psychotic about games than I am. I've learned to calm down. The Super Bowl
Yeah.
really hurt me, so I'm a little bit numb right now. Uh,
Oh, my
to
wife
me, it's
has
just
to calm me. My wife has to calm me down. I
you
get
get
I get loud.
you get
Oh yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get pretty bad. I used to get to
Yeah.
the point where I used to break stuff, but I don't do that anymore. The Niners have been relatively good since 2019, so this was back in like the days of like Russell Wilson killing us,
Oh yeah.
always beating us, and it was a
Yeah.
game. I remember we were in Seattle. This might have been the beginning of the Harbaugh, or excuse me, the Shanahan era. It might have been 2018. I remember I punched a lamp in my room. I like bear swatted it, just like, and it started sparking. And my brother's like, you're an idiot." He's like, "You still do that?" And I'm like, "God, that's just really bad." Because my dad used to get on me for it when I was young, as a teenager, because I would get so emotional. So
Yeah.
I've learned to keep it internalized. It's not always good internally to keep stuff internalized, but flipping out and doing all this silly stuff, it doesn't really matter because in the end of the day, like my dad always used to say, they're all getting paid and you're not. So you need to
Yeah.
learn how to calm down. But I'm
Yep.
still psychotic when I watch 49er games. That's just how it is. We got
Yeah.
David McNiner in here. What's going on, man? Appreciate you coming
Going
through.
on.
Small town, you got a 200 people watching you. That's awesome, bro. Nobody watches me on YouTube anymore. They watch all on X. I got over 300 people watching me on Twitter and only 6 people on YouTube. I don't understand
Huh.
what's going on here. I'm gonna have to do some investigating to figure out what the cause is because I used to get a gazillion on YouTube and nobody on Twitter. Now I get a gazillion on Twitter or X and nobody on YouTube. So go
Huh.
figure.
Maybe
Um,
more people use Twitter. Maybe, I don't know.
I am in the process of going live on Instagram because I know once you go live for about an hour, you get what's called the stream key. So essentially, I could live stream to TikTok as well and see if I could
Hmm.
siphon some views off of there. There's so many 49er content creators. Anybody that's related to Grant Cohn or part of that whole clique, they get S ton of views.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, now I don't get monetized anymore. This is all for just enjoying the 49ers. If people want to watch, that's great. If they don't, nothing I can do about it. I can't force you to watch. If you don't like what you're watching, then I'm sorry.
Too
There's
bad.
other channels. It's
Yeah.
not
Too
like
bad.
it's not like you're at a loss for channels. Um, yeah, I'm gonna just relax tonight, eat some dinner. I'm off tomorrow. It'll be nice. Give us something to talk about with some of the weekly shows this week. You can talk about who balled out in the preseason. The
Yeah.
great thing about this game is I could just specifically watch certain players. You know what I mean? The
Hmm.
the, the outcome doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of players like we listed. I'll list it again. These are just some of the players, like I said. Josh Dobbs, Dominic Pooney, Jalen Moore, Cody Schrader, Ronnie Bell, tight end Brandon Willis, Malik Collins, Yetur Gross-Matos, D. Winters. I really hope D. Winters plays well. Renardo Green, I really hope he plays well. Pooney, I hope he plays well. Again, please no injuries. Injuries are
Yeah.
the devil because
Yeah.
it just derails everything. And when these guys get hurt, they're gone for the whole season and you lose it for a whole year and then you have to restart the whole thing up again. So um
Yeah.
I just those are the things I'm really paying attention to tonight is just the injuries and there's a lot of good backups that are going to be playing. The Niners, if all these backups play as good as we think they can, man, we have a lot of depth in
Yeah.
around this team. You know, people want to think to the future and moving on from certain players down the road. This is a perfect night to figure out who those players are that we can move to once certain players start to age out, mainly a D Winters. D Winters
Yeah.
has he's had a really good camp from a lot of people said. You know, the Niners, of course, are without Dre Greenlaw this year. So be interesting to see if, maybe he can make his way into the starting lineup. And
Did you see
that
that
would
play? Did you see that play he did on McCaffrey? That was
yeah,
unbelievable.
it was a really good
Unbelievable.
yeah, it was
He
great.
was
He played
on
that
him. He was on him, like on McCaffrey. Nobody's on that guy. You know, they're
nobody.
usually a few yards away. That guy was on him, and I like that.
Uh
Fred Warner was on the sidelines yelling. You know,
yeah,
so
he was screaming and hooting and hollering. I know that I know speaking of McCaffrey, he was asked about his injury, his calf strain. He said if it was a regular season game, he would be playing. He said essentially what the Niners are doing is they're just precautions.
yeah,
A lot of these injuries, when it's starters and you see guys are out and everybody's really worried, a lot of these guys, if this regular season started tomorrow, um, the Niners would be those guys would be playing. It's just like I said, this is a good time to watch games where they don't matter and you can relax because in a couple weeks it's all gonna matter. It's gonna go back to stress city. 49er
yep,
games are super stressful because all 49er fans know that like every game matters. And it's not when your team sucks and they have no hope, you can watch games and just go crazy and not really be paying attention. But when and then the media, you know how the media is with the 49ers. If the 49ers slip up, all
you
these
turn
other
it into
channels
a
they love.
whole thing.
Yeah, it's like, oh God, what is this the end of the Shanahan era? You know how it
Yeah,
goes. You know how it
yeah.
goes.
All right.
But
Well,
that's
let's go.
yeah, go ahead.
Let's whip some Titans, and to all the San Franciscans, we uh we got two other teams that are doing pretty good. We got Team USA won, and
Mm-hmm.
Steph Curry balled out, our
Mm-hmm.
former our Warrior, and then the Giants have won four straight. So um, I don't know if the Giants are going to make the playoffs, but hopefully they do because that'd be sweet. And we got the Niners starting our season, so three good things for the San Francisco fan base.
Yeah,
Um,
if you're anybody who's a West Coaster,
yeah,
especially in the Bay Area, that's definitely some stuff to be excited about.
yep,
They didn't expect the Giants to do anything this year, the San Francisco Giants. And so, that's always
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
They'll probably play spoiler to somebody who's going to end up winning it, but still,
yeah.
you guys are
We
still
got
cheering for it in August. Most people thought the Giants would be out of it by August.
yeah.
Um, I don't watch any other sports really besides football, so football's kind of my end all be all season. So,
I love
um,
baseball. I love baseball too.
I mean, I guess I'm a Yankees fan, unfortunately. I don't know if you follow Jason Aponte. He's a 49er content creator. He lives in
Yeah.
New York. Big Yankees fan, big 49er fan. So he's he gets it from both sides. He gets it from people that hate the Niners and he gets it from people who crap on the Yankees and he just loves it. He's like, bring
Oh
it.
yeah. Oh
So
yeah. There you go.
everybody enjoy the preseason game. I'll be on this week um, with some, co-hosts for the regular season. I assume I'll be on with Raj. I'll try to get on with Ted and Bashar, and of course, me and James will probably hit it again next Friday or Saturday. We'll actually have some stuff to talk about. We can talk about some of the preseason festivities and how guys looked. Who knows? Maybe we have Brandon Aiyuk back in camp or back in the building along with Trent Williams and whatever other news will drop. So everybody take care. I know a bunch of you
You guys,
watched on X. If you've watched on X, I appreciate it. If you want to come over to YouTube next time, that'll be awesome. But we'll talk to you guys later. Everybody have a good night
go
or evening.
Niners. Go Niners.
See ya.
All right, bro.